The NBA is in a weird place right now as it currently navigates a profound existential paradox. From a fiscal perspective, on paper, everything looks better than ever. The league just locked in a massive TV deal worth around $76 billion. So financially, they're thriving. But here's the problem. Money doesn't tell the whole story. Because while the league is richer than ever, the actual product on the court feels like it's slipping. This economic prosperity is increasingly decoupled from the on-court product. Ratings are shaky, rule changes haven't landed the way people hoped, and the way the game is played just doesn't hit the same for a lot of fans. When you really look at the numbers, the rules, and even how players carry themselves, it starts to feel like the NBA is slowly losing the competitive edge that made it special in the first place. The league has also changed a lot from what fans grew up loving. Back in the Jordan and Kobe days, the game was physical. Rivalries were real, and every matchup felt personal. Now, it's more about player-built super teams, softer defense, and everyone playing the same analytics-driven style. And for a lot of longtime fans, that shift has pushed them away. I look into the mechanisms of this decay, the erosion of player loyalty, how flopping has become normal, and how the three-point era has turned the game into something way more predictable. All of that together has chipped away at what used to make the NBA must-watch TV. To understand why the modern NBA is perceived as inferior, one must first look at the historical peak against which it is measured. The era spanning from the late 1980s through the mid-2000s, dominated by figures like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, represented a synthesis of individual brilliance, collective continuity, and physical intensity that the modern league has failed to replicate. During the 1990s, the NBA's marketing was built upon the foundation of franchise icons. Michael Jordan's tenure with the Chicago Bulls and Kobe Bryant's 20-season career with the Los Angeles Lakers provides us with the framework. The hero's journey was central to the fan experience. A superstar would be drafted by a struggling team, endure years of playoff failures at the hands of established dynasties, such as Jordan's struggles against the bad boy Pistons, and eventually overcome those obstacles through perseverance and roster continuity. This era was defined by a commitment to the 82-game schedule that is virtually absent among modern stars. Michael Jordan played all 82 games in a season 9 different times during his career, a feat that highlighted the expectation of availability. Similarly, John Stockton played every game of the season 17 times, even returning from microfracture surgery, a career-ending procedure for many to maintain his streak. This durability was not merely a physical attribute, but a cultural mandate. Playing through illness, as exemplified by Jordan's flu game in the 1997 finals, was the standard by which greatness was measured. The bad boy era of the Detroit Pistons and the subsequent physical rivalries of the 1990s established a defensive standard where points were earned rather than granted by the whistle. The Jordan rules, a tactical mandate to physically punish Michael Jordan whenever he entered the paint, demonstrated an era where defense was a psychological and physical war. Enforcers like Bill Laimbeer, Rick Mahorn, and Charles Oakley were not merely role players. They were the guardians of the interior, ensuring that layups were never uncontested. In this environment, hard fouls were a legitimate strategic tool. The 1980s and 90s saw frequent physical confrontations that, in the modern era, would result in immediate ejections and multi-game suspensions. For instance, in 1985, Robert Parrish punched Bill Laimbeer in the middle of a game. Remarkably, no foul was called, and both players remained on the court to finish the contest. This level of permissive physicality fostered genuine rivalries. The Bulls, Knicks, Pistons, and Pacers did not merely compete, they harbored a documented animosity that fueled television ratings. The fundamental shift in the NBA's power dynamic occurred in July 2010 with the decision. LeBron James' choice to leave the Cleveland Cavaliers to join Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh in Miami introduced the player empowerment era, a movement that has arguably done more to erode fan loyalty than any other factor in the league's history. The modern era defenders often mistake the 1990s Bulls or the early 2000s Lakers for super teams. However, historical scrutiny reveals that those dynasties were built through front office strategy and draft day trades rather than player-led collisions. collusion. The Bulls drafted Jordan and acquired Pippen on draft night, while the Lakers signed a veteran Shaquille O'Neal to pair with the teenage Kobe Bryant, who was not yet an all-star. In contrast, modern super teams are frequently engineered by the players themselves. The Heat's 2010, the LeBron-led Cavaliers 2.0, 2014, and Kevin Durant's move to a 73-win Warriors team, 2016, were all instances of established superstars consolidating talent to mitigate competitive risk. This shift has turned the league into a renter's market for fans. As LeBron James moved from Cleveland to Miami to Los Angeles, he took a massive portion of the national viewership with him, leaving the abandoned franchises to suffer catastrophic drops in local engagement and value. This nomadic stardom has created a player-centric fandom that is fundamentally at odds with traditional sports loyalty. Younger fans now view player movement as a normal aspect of the culture, whereas older fans view it as a betrayal of the contract between player and community. Small market teams, in particular, are stuck in a continuous loop of losing their stars as soon as they reach their prime, as the allure of coastal super teams and player-led consolidation becomes too strong to resist. The prevailing sentiment that the modern NBA is soft is supported by a clear timeline of rule changes designed to inflate scoring and protect the league's offensive stars. The primary catalyst for this shift was the 2004 abolition of the hand-check rule. Prior to 2004, defenders were allowed to use their hands or forearms to impede a ball handler's path to the basket. This rule favored physical defenders and made it difficult for perimeter players to drive without encountering significant resistance. When the NBA removed this rule, the goal was to replicate the high-scoring perimeter production of the Jordan era. The impact was immediate. Average scoring jumped from 93 to 97 points per game in a single season. This change effectively ended the era of the enforcer. Modern officiating focuses on maintaining a finesse game where any significant physical contact is penalized. Former stars like Kevin Garnett and Shaquille O'Neal have pointed to this as the reason defense has become a lost art. Today, positions that were once defined by brute force, such as the power forward and center, have been transformed into perimeter-oriented skill positions. The bruisers who once clogged the lane have been replaced by stretch fives who avoid the paint entirely. The lack of allowed physicality has led to a perverse incentive structure. If you cannot physically stop an opponent, you must deceive the official. Flopping, the exaggeration of contact, has become so pervasive that the league introduced new technical foul penalties in 2023 to combat it. LeBron James has become a lightning rod for this criticism. Despite his massive physical stature, James is a prolific flopper, using theatricality to draw fouls that his strength would otherwise render unnecessary. This theatrics undermines the competitive integrity of the sport. When I grew up watching Jordan and Bryant fight through double teams and hard fouls, I found it difficult to respect a modern product where elite athletes collapse upon marginal contact. Imagine going to a pickup game and someone just flops on the court. I mean, fall out like they've been shot. You would think that they have lost their goddamn mind. The softness is not just in the rules, it is in the gamesmanship that prioritizes the whistle over the play. The modern NBA is no longer a game of imagination, it is a game of probability. The analytics era, championed by figures like Daryl Morey and Mike D'Antoni, has successfully identified the most efficient way to score, but in doing so, it has sterilized the variety of the sport. The shift toward the three-pointer is based on the simple principle of expected value. If an average NBA player shoots 40% from the three-point line, to match that expected value from a two-point shot, a player would essentially have to shoot 60%. This makes the mid-range jumper a bad shot because no one is capable of shooting 60% consistently from mid-range, and since 40% from deep is far easier to achieve than 60% from the mid-range, the mid-range jumper, once the bread and butter of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, has been discarded as a bad shot. The result is a league where every team runs the same offense: high pick and roll, drive into the paint, and kick out for a corner three. The variety of post play, mid-range artistry, and diverse offensive schemes has been replaced by what analysts describe as robots running up and down the court. This is most evident in the fast fast break three. In the 1990s, a three-pointer on a fast break was considered a benchable offense. The objective was always to get the highest percentage shot at the rim. The three-point revolution has moved the game so far away from its roots that it is now essentially a different sport. The line between a good shot and a lazy shot has blurred, with players pulling up over double teams on the break simply because the math says it might work. The ultimate measure of a product's quality is its audience. While the NBA remains profitable due to the scarcity of live sports content, its television ratings have been in a state of precipitous decline since the 1998 peak. The 1998 NBA Finals remains the most watched series in history, averaging an 18.7 Nielsen rating and 29.0 million viewers. In comparison, the 2020 Finals, which admittedly faced pandemic-related challenges, bottomed out at a 4.0 rating and 7.45 million viewers. Even recovered seasons like the 2024 and 2025 Finals have struggled to reach even half of the audience that Michael Jordan commanded. The decline is not just a result of cord cutting. While general television viewership has decreased, the NBA's drop-off has frequently outpaced the general trend. The lack of must-watch regular season games due to load management, the practice of resting healthy stars, has devalued the league's 82-game schedule. When fans cannot be certain that the stars they paid to see will actually play, they stop tuning in. Today's younger audience consumes the NBA through highlights and social media moments rather than full games. While the NBA generated a record 5 billion views across social media during the 2025 Finals, this snackable content does not generate the same economic or cultural weight as a dedicated television audience. The league has traded its deep, loyal appointment viewing for broad, superficial social media engagement. The National Basketball Association stands at a critical juncture. The data-driven integration of the sport, coupled with the erosion of traditional franchise loyalty, has created a product that is increasingly hollow. While the league has successfully navigated the shift to digital consumption and global branding, it has done so by sacrificing the very elements, physicality, continuity, and authentic rivalry that made it a cultural juggernaut in the 1990s. To restore the product, the league must consider structural reforms. This includes rebalancing offense and defense, reintroducing limited hand checking or reducing the number of soft fouls to allow for physical defensive play, incentivizing continuity, strengthening the CBA to make it financially and competitively punitive for stars to force trades or collude in free agency, de-stereotyping the shot profile, adjusting the three-point line or the lane dimensions to make the mid-range and post games mathematically viable once again, mandating availability, ensuring that the regular season remains a premium product by penalizing excessive load management for healthy players. Without these changes, the NBA risks becoming a highlight league, a sport that is fun to watch in 60-second clips on social media, but fails to command the attention and respect of a dedicated national audience. The Jordan and Kobe eras proved that the NBA is at its best when it is a high-stakes, physical, and deeply personal battle. The modern league must decide if it is a sport or merely a content delivery system. Like, subscribe, share, and maybe even hype the video. Let me know if you agree with my assessment of the modern NBA in its current state. Thanks for watching.